Oiling out is what you want to do, what works for me when I work back into a painting when the painting is dry. And the reason that you do that is to bring back the contrast and the color and the values as if the painting was wet. That's one reason. And for me, the other reason is that it enables me to work onto that surface as if the surface was wet. So it's providing that somewhat slippery surface to work into. So real quickly too, and this demo is on what I want to do is I'll do kind of an aggressive start with this. So I wanted to make sure that you understood the nature, why we do oiling out first. The supplies that I have, I'm just using the same medium that I am accustomed to, the alkyd medium that Graham makes. But you can also oil out with linseed oil or some other oils. Thicker oils, even this particular walnut alkyd, I do thin down. I don't recommend using stand oil, for instance, for this. So you want to use something that's a relatively thinner type of an oil for this. There may be other techniques that I'm not unaware of, but this is what works for me. So what I do, first to start off, this is on a board, and that I made myself. I did a little bit of a demo of that, I think last month, of preparing your own panels. But frequently when I'm working back into a painting, and this was a very quick demo of a portrait that has since been, I don't have the reference for it to sort of work back into with reference, but however, frequently what I do is to come back with sandpaper, and this is 100 grade sandpaper, which has already been used, so it's not real super gritty. But I'm going to sort of aggressively dig back into the tooth of the underneath painting in areas. Looks like there's a bit of, so for instance, for this background, I'm getting back some of the lighter tooth of the canvas, or the texture of the board. And you can see that coming through now. Sometimes having that, well, let's do that. Let's work into this dark area with this in mind. Sometimes having that lighter tooth can help keep a sense of transparency in the finished product. So I'm going to do a little bit of sanding all over, and just wiping that down. You don't want to dig back into a canvas or even a board, a panel that has, you can see some of that tooth coming back. And if this was, granted, I'm not going to, you're not going to rake over somebody's portrait that you're really working into with trying to refine. But in places, and just in general, it can really help to do that. So first I've sanded it, and I'm wiping away any of the excess dust, and even taking my brush with a little bit of that same medium and wiping, so just going over the whole paint, a little more thinner in this particular passage. I've also pre-mixed, as you can see, how I would work into a portrait like this. A little bit of a head cold this week, unfortunately. And so all of the excess paint there, all this excess dust, I feel like is fairly comfortable about that being out. And I'm just going to grab some of this medium that has a little bit of terp in it. One more coat on that soft brush, and picked up some of the paint down below there by accident. And then just will just come back and take a soft rag and just blot that a little bit so that it's not too much. Okay. So painting is oiled out, and the way that I would work into that first, and this would be in module 4, but just to have it in the additional content here, you can see earlier on, we'll typically work into some of the darks in that first. And I pre-mixed, this is how I would work into a portrait, very typically. So I pre-mixed some of these puddles to represent sort of average shadow and light in her skin tone. This is a great model in the Bay Area with a funny name. Her name's Pigeon. Or I don't know if it's that funny, but it's just, she's really sweet and awesome model. So, posed for quite a few very famous painters over the years. And so, glaze, working very transparently to start. Just as an example, this working back into this, maybe I wanted to come back in and lighten up the whole background or something like that. And you can see the brush just gliding onto the panel as if it's wet, and that's the other reason. But you also get the full range of color and value that you had painted it in the first place. You're not losing some of that information. Working back into a portrait, come up with that average color that I see first, and without any reference or having her here, of course, a little difficult to work into with much accuracy, but you can just see how you can, I'm taking that average color and just warming it up a little bit, average value and color at the same time, and seeing that same shadow color and value as it goes down her neck, being warmer. So you can make those adjustments on your brush as you're painting if you have some of that mixed up. So I think you get the idea anyway, and I'll let you go with that. Any questions, just shoot them over in the Facebook group, and we'll get to them as they come in. All right. So that's oiling out, and I highly recommend it. Otherwise, you're basing your color choices and your value choices on color that's not quite exact, as well as it does give you that feeling of working into a wet painting. And you can, again, work with more of a glaze to begin with, which is also really handy. Alrighty? From scene to scene, framing your vision is the theme of this course, and is designed for artists at all levels to explore new ways of seeing the world around them, to recognize the potential for subject matter in the everyday, and how to translate that into paintings that share your unique vision. My teaching experience includes 10 years at the San Francisco Academy of Art, Pixar Studios, and the California College of Art, and private workshops for 25 years. The class begins with a review of the principles of painting with an emphasis on composition and design. I do feel that composition is the make or break foundation of any artwork, but that it's also dependent on understanding the basic principles of value and color relationships, the use of contrast and bold shapes, of creating depth with overlap, aerial perspective, and managing edges. Learning how to simplify the complex and tips to manage the medium of oil are also covered and explained in this section in a straightforward way that the first module is a primer for the rest of the course. Gathering, analyzing, and editing reference material to explore painting options is the next part of the class. In Module 2, we'll dive into quick studies with a constant focus on the design potential, while at the same time strengthening skills in brush handling, how to simplify, edit, and critique your studies destined for larger studio paintings. The third module will focus on how to handle figurative elements in a scene. Gesture, proportion, editing, and grouping all need to be considered, but practice is ultimately the key. So this module focuses and encourages lots of that. The final part of the course, which in many ways can be seen as just the beginning, concentrates on how to develop larger studio paintings while implementing the principles put forward in the earlier modules. We'll also explore various palettes as options in the process, address paint quality, and techniques for working into a painting during multiple painting sessions. I do look forward to the opportunity to work with you.